Okay. Origin story time. 'Cause some people just know me as me, and then some people are like, why is your name 2spirit priestess of Hecate? What does that mean? Like, why are you calling yourself that? That's a long, confusing name. So, I figured I'd tell you the story of why that's my name. So first of all, I have been doing, there's different aspects of witchcraft. So I've been doing like meditation and like nature and Wicca and all that stuff for years and years and years. Magic, which for a long time, when I was in university and I was all academic, I would call it manifesting. But it was what it was. And then later just sort of embracing, okay, you know what, like I don't have to tell everybody, but witchcraft, right? But then later, only much more recently, like this year, is when I finally took it to spirit work and necromancy and talking with spirits, which then eventually led to priestess of Hecate. And all of that happened fast, like really, really, really fast. And it turns out there was a reason for that. So very slow for many, 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 many years, and then very fast as soon as I started embracing spirit work. And part of the reason for that is I didn't always believe in ghosts. I didn't. I was skeptical. And it's like the same with like horror movies. I didn't like movies about ghosts because they're not real, so why is it scary kind of thing, right? But then I had a paranormal experience once involving some bright lights and strange sounds when I was camping that didn't know what it was. Was it a UFO? I don't know. Was it aliens? I don't know. Was it Sasquatch? I don't know. Was it ghosts? I don't know. It was just a weird paranormal experience. I know what it is now, but that's a whole other thing. So at that point, you become a little more open-minded, and you start asking people, and people have ghost stories, or they have weird stories. Especially when I was in Nunavut, they had all kinds of stories about these little people who lived out on the land. They had stories of demons. They had stories of like some sort of old woman-looking dead person who was riding on the back of a whale and caused the weather to change. Like, this is something somebody said they saw, and yeah, that sounds crazy, but they sound like they're telling the truth when they tell you these crazy stories. That's the thing. Like, you know when someone's lying, and you can only play skeptic for so long. Like, everybody has some sort, maybe not everybody, but everybody at least knows somebody, or has at least heard ghost stories, real ghost stories. So also, I get way back into reading about this stuff at this time. Way back into, I remember when I was younger and I was all like, woo, Wicca, I'm going to rediscover that and I'm going to read some books again. And yeah, then those books reminded me of like, oh yeah, like divination, all that stuff, that's a part of it too. And I'm hearing about all these ghost stories. Let's see what it's all about. And what happened first? I think what happened first was I just decided to, around the time when I got back into reading about this, I decided to get a Ouija board. And it's the same one I used today. I don't know if you can see that. But the difference is, I've gotten a lot better at using it since I first got it. And I think it was like a Halloween or something, or close to it, where I was like, I'm just going to spend the night playing with the Ouija board, see what happens. And reading about it first, like making sure I knew the kind of do's and don'ts. Like, if you're going to use a Ouija board, don't just ask for anybody, because you can get anybody. And 90% of the spirits walking around are not nice, because they didn't want to die. They didn't want to cross over, and the reason they didn't want to cross over is because they're all scared of the judgment. So you get just all kinds of not nice spirits, which explains a lot of people's bad Ouija board stories. They're probably teenagers. Maybe there's substances involved, drugs and alcohol, and people not realizing the kinds of spirits on the other side and just be like, hey, anybody want to talk? Is there anybody out there? And what you get is you get anybody. So I went into it like, okay, I'm only going to ask to like speak to like angels, right? And that's what I did the first few times. And I'm talking to, what was the name? Because it was some crazy name I couldn't pronounce. But basically this thing identified itself as an angel. Talking with it was really difficult. And I thought it was just because I was new at it. I also thought maybe it's because he needed more people. But it's just, the communication was so difficult. But then eventually it said, it took a while, but I got the message that it was saying like, hey, you keep asking me these questions when you could be talking to your spirit guide. Like, well, he didn't say like, I say like it's their job to help you. You know that, right? Like, you're talking to me, meanwhile their job to help you. You should ask them. And I kind of just took it as like, I don't know, you go into some place to complain, you realize you're not talking to the right person, and they kindly direct you to where you're supposed to be going. I was like, oh, okay, can I talk to my spirit guide then? Yeah, okay, sure. And immediately, communication with the planchette on the Ouija board talking to the spirit guide was much easier. Much easier. New English. So I took that to kind of mean, oh, angels, whatever they are, kind of predate human language, and it's difficult for them to sort of speak on my level kind of thing, or at least through me through the Ouija board. Yeah, start talking to spirit guides. Starts out with just one, and to respect their privacy, I won't go into too much detail about them individually and their personalities. But it started out with just one. Like, hey, I want to talk to my spirit guide. Spirit guide answers. I may have been talking to more, because in my head at the time, it was just spirit guide, not individual personalities. Hang on, my dog is being demanding. Okay, sorry about that, but my dog was being annoying, but it did give me a chance to get some oil, so it's all good. Money oil. It's Thursday. I'm gonna making some money oil. Not making money, just making money oil. Okay. I forget where I was with the story. Only one spirit guide at the time, because it just occurred to me it is spirit guide. Then time goes on, I'm getting better at using the Ouija board, it's coming faster, I start experimenting. Okay, what are some spells to help with divination? What are some spells to help with this stuff? What are some things I can try? Combining candle magic. Tried an experiment where I just burned a ton of purple candles. Ton of lavender oil, dabbing it on my forehead, rubbing it here and there, dandelions, just trying everything every spell I can find, trying that. And then one day, playing with the Ouija board, I recorded it. I should probably throw it up on the internet. I might have to go through my recycle bin to find it. But yeah, because I make a lot of videos and then I have to delete them to make more room for more videos. But yeah, anyway. At some point, started hearing the voice directly in my head. I noticed that, because you just assume it's your imagination, but it's saying exactly what you spell out. Like, it says a sentence like, hot dogs are good. And you realize that you're already on the D of dogs, A-R-E, are good. wow, that's what the voice in my head just said. And you keep doing it, and you keep doing it, and you realize, oh, wow, that was a crazy night. Wrote down in my book of shadows all the important kind of conversational bits. Told me really profound things I couldn't have imagined, right? Couldn't have made up. Told me a wonderful thing about meals and how they used to be every member of the family. 200 years ago, you're on a farm, every person in the family contributes to one meal. Everyone is helping with the crops, everyone's helping with the animals, everyone's helping put the meal together at the end of the day, and then you're surrounded by your loved ones, all eating food that you eat to live, and it was created with love, and here I am ordering chicken wings on Skip the Dishes, right? Anyway, but then realizing, wait a minute, there's more than one spirit guide? There's another one I can talk to? Oh, snap. So I start talking to this one, and completely different person, lived at a completely different time, was talking, I don't know how much, I'll leave out her name, at least, but I want to say this because it was a profound moment, jumping stone in terms of spirit work, is the subject of her being around certain countries during a certain World War II time period kind of piqued my interest. I was like, wait, you're from there around this time period. Wait, and just before I could even ask, I caught glimpses of traumatic stuff. Really just flashes and then gone. And just kind of whoa, I just saw a dead body. Not just a dead body, but gore, real, dead person, something that this spirit guide had lived through and seen. And I was like, whoa, what the, did you just show me that? Yes. Why did you show me that? Well, I knew as soon as I told you where I was from and what time, you were eventually going to keep bugging me about it because it's such a fascinating topic. So, bam, there you go. Now you won't ask me about it. And 2, now we're bonded because we just shared some trauma. That was their kind of logic. Started to learn that spirit guides are just people. And people have personalities. And people are flawed. They're not always right. And this, even though that sounds like a traumatic story that I had with a spirit, this spirit was awesome. Way more fun to talk to than the first spirit. Made me laugh, cracking me up with this sort of sarcastic, almost bullying attitude. This spirit kind of reminded me of, if you've ever seen the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Mac's mom, except more talkative, but that kind of personality, and just really funny, just a sense of humor. Is my dog just whining because he wants attention? Yes. Not because there's a bad spirit? No. Okay, just checking. I'll give him attention later. And then I think I asked this spirit about hey, maybe touched on the subject of exorcism or something, and this spirit mentioned, oh, wait until you talk to so and so, and I'm like, wait, who's so and so? And then she's like, oh, another spirit guide you have. And I'm like, at this point I'm starting to wonder how many spirit guides do I have? How many is a normal amount? What's too many? Why do I have a lot? Does it seem like I have a few because I need a few because I don't know what I'm doing? Or I don't know, but it starts to get a little suspicious. And still, I'm skeptical. Still at this point, I'm I'm just imagining this. But no, because the subconscious is not what we think. And, trying to reconcile it with all my years of meditation and what I understand of quantum mechanics. And, anyway. And just the fact that these spirits are telling me things I couldn't know. For example, next night I try and summon, can I talk to another spirit guide? And not knowing who I'm going to get. And I believe at this point, It was the ancient one. This one was, like from BC era. And hadn't lived a life since then. I don't know. I hadn't really asked why. But had one life on Earth. Every other spirit guide had several lives. We all have past lives and things. And that's what they're telling me. But this spirit guide existed 2,000 years before Christ in a place known as Phrygia. Phrygia, probably. I forget. But it's like I'm talking to the spirit, and I'm still skeptical. And this spirit spells out Phrygia, where he's from. And I'm like, there is no place called Phrygia. Where is that? Where would that be? Middle East, Africa? I'm looking, I can't find Phrygia. And then I remember, oh yeah, he said he died like couple thousand years BC. And I was like, oh wait, so I just type in Phrygia. I Google it. And Phrygia was a place that existed 2,000 years before Common Era, before Christ. I didn't know that. I never heard of it. And the Ouija board told me. And same with another 6 total spirit guides. I'll explain in a minute. If that sounds a lot, if that sounds like I'm bragging, hang on. There's a reason for that. Same with another spirit guide. Where are you from? Mentions a place in England. And I'm like, all right, I never heard of this. Let's Google it. Oh, it really exists. And met his wife, moved to Canada, British Columbia, and he said a small town in British Columbia. And I'm like, don't tell me that, because I'm going to Google it, and it's not going to exist, and I'm going to feel so stupid. And he tells me it's a small town called Vernon, British Columbia. So I type it in. There is a small town, well, I don't think it's a small town compared to like a city, called Vernon, British Columbia. I didn't know that. Why would I know that? Never been there. Never been to British Columbia. So yeah, 6 total spirit guides. Conversation on the Ouija board gets easier and easier every day. Eventually, I don't really need the planchette. I could do it a lot faster with my finger. And even it's at the point now where just to warm up, I use my finger. And now I can just full on talk to them. I know what they're saying. And needing less and less additional spells to do it. Less and less, I could do it without the purple candles, although it does help with purple candles. But eventually it's like, okay, why is all of this coming to me so easy, and why do I have so many spirit guides? That just seems, I don't know, I can't make sense of that. Why? So I just asked them, why do I have so many spirit guides? And they said, it's not that you have a lot of spirit guides, it's that you have 2 spirits. And I was like, First Nations people were right about that too? Because where I live and work, basically First Nations community, a lot of First Nations people. I've heard the term 2spirit before. And my understanding is, oh, that's just what like First Nations people call their trans people, right? That's my thinking of what it is. That's probably what whoever is watching this, that's probably what they think it is too. And the spirits are talking to me like, what? Like, no, we don't care about what like race you are. Like, people have spirits, you have too. A masculine and a feminine. I never called myself that. I always knew I was trans. That's the way I looked at it for the first 36 years of my life. But now it's like, oh, I'm 2-spirited. And they explained to me why this is coming to me so easily is that when you're doing spirit work with 2 spirits, it's really easy. Any job you do with 2 people is easier. If you want to move a table across the room, it's easier if you got someone on the other side lifting it. Yeah. So I start telling the elders at work, and they're like, oh yeah, we knew you were 2-spirit. And they're like, it's not a gender identity, it's a spiritual identity. And when I first saw you, I was like, oh, that's a two-spirit person. So I learned something that day. I was two-spirited, and I learned what the two-spirited actually meant. And that's not me saying all transgender people are two-spirited. That's me saying literal spirits told me I have two spirits. And they don't care about skin or political correctness. And if you want, I could do a little montage video of a bunch of First Nations people who I work with saying, yes, Catherine has permission to call herself two-spirit, but whatever. Where do you think I got this necklace? This was a gift. Anyway, so yeah, realizing I have two spirits, each with 3 spirit guides. Spirit work is very easy, and now I have this crack team of, and they all have different strengths and expertise. One of them is a priest. One of them existed before Christianity. So I get a lot of different opinions, and I get to I have this team of very wise people, very wise about magic too. Not all of them, but some of them very much, and makes what I do very easy, because it shouldn't be easy. This should take a lot more work and practice, which eventually led to the priestess of Hecate part, because this is all just spirit work. We haven't even gotten into deities yet.